Hello, buongiorno tutti. Siamo a Sassari. Okay, little background. Sassari and the Museo Sana. That was a trip. We came from the mainland with a traghetto. I think that's what they call it, if I remember correctly. A boat in a car. We arrived to Puerto Torres, I think it's the name, in northern Sardegna. And then we stopped first at the Museum Sana, which I had studied from my catalogs that I have in my collection. Something that we must remember, that it's a reality with all these trips. These trips to Phoenician ruins and that have Phoenician and Punic history. Okay, so over the years, I developed a nice library of books in different language with images, and I would study them, and they were the inspiration for doing all these what I would call Phoenician Punic period works, whether it be the first period of Phoenician Punic works, which were an affirmation of Phoenician culture. We must remember that they did the alphabet, they discovered the tinta purpura, the purple dye, etc. So many things they did in the history, and I felt an obligation because of my blood, my Phoenician blood, and my history to because it's like what can I say? It's like a path in the woods. They say that if you don't walk across that path in the woods, it will be taken up by the vegetation next to it, right? Just like we talk about having a language, speaking a language. If you don't practice it, you will lose it. So, that's one of my things. I defend the Phoenician culture, some of the great things that Lebanon has done in their history, okay? So, and of course, that spread through the entire Mediterranean. But in any case, we're here in the beginning of the video in the Museum Sana, Museo Sana, studying Phoenician Punic elements in their collection, which is wonderful. And for me, this was, first I want to shout out to Francesco Montanari, my great friend, who in that period sponsored different trips to, like, for example, this one. I was living in New York City, and he's in Bologna, Italy, and we would get together and we would travel to different places to study Phoenician ruins. He supported my endeavors, and also at the end, after many years, many years, not so many, he became the largest collector of my Phoenician Punic works, including first period Phoenician and the Fourth Punic War Phoenician works. Those two periods, he has an incredible collection in Bologna of those works, which is, I'm very happy to have that stronghold in Italy, in North Italy, in Felcina, the Etruscan. I look at cities from their history, and Bologna is Tuscan, Parma is Etruscan. Like I say, I'm half, I'm half Lebanese, I'm half Italian, I'm half Phoenician, I'm half Etruscan, because Parma is also an Etruscan city, founded by the Etruscans, okay? So anyway, I was brought up this way. Being in America, I was taught to understand, to deal with my parents' heritage. I wouldn't have called it was racist, but yes, it's true. People would, they would attack me for where my family name, which was Arabic, it didn't bother me because I was determined this is ignorance of people. But because, the dogs in the street that are mixed races are the most clever, no? And I'm a mixed race, and not that means I'm the most clever, but that's the greatest thing that happens in the States when you mix all these immigrants and they start mixing, and all these genes with all these paths, and it makes an interesting element. And of course now, a Brancuolo, I tengo una vergogna, because what the country, we're in 2024, let's just get in and out of this quick. I feel ashamed of the country I live, what I was born for what they're doing in the Middle East. What they're doing, it's not what I was taught to think the United States was all about. But let's pass this, because we're dealing with a video now which has its political ramifications, of course. Because let's get back to we're in Sardegna. Now we're down to Tharros. We got to if you look into the images, we arrived to the south, the center, not the south. The center of Sardinia, and I am just I'm looking at these images and I'm remembering how I felt, how happy I was to be there, and how I was pleased to be there, because I've studied all these places with books, and now I see it in person, and I can walk there, and I feel connected with them. I feel connected when it's a love of this period. No, it's something interesting, because I've been studying, and I've been making sculptures and doing exhibits of my sculptures, my Phoenician period work, and it got to a point which I got to a point where I felt like I was a Phoenician sculptor. And this, for me, was a satisfaction, and tremendous satisfaction, that I went back to this period and I became a Phoenician sculptor, because I studied intensely all the images of the Phoenician and Punic culture in the Mediterranean. And actually they circumnavigated Africa, but let's let that for another video. And I know that Carthaginian, but okay, let's go. Let's keep going, excuse me, from deviating from the line. And just looking and making, and then I had my period of union of the Phoenician states, which was unifying all Phoenician. It was a political act. My work does have this political act. It's against people that are trying to shut us down and close us down. That will always be a big part of my work, to stand up for what the history is, and don't let other people erase our history. And you can use that concept to other situations politically in the world. But in any case, we're here in Sardegna. And we're dealing with this visit, which was so rich for me to deal with. And so anyway, I'm just enjoying being there. And you can see I'm fiddling around with my hands, trying to dig up and see if I find something in my hand, a little ceramic something, or some type of something I can put in my pocket and take back with me and cherish it, okay? And I did find some things. And actually there's something which wasn't taped here. And it's something, because I took some of my own Phoenician objects and I buried them in places, but I didn't have a tape, because I didn't want, and some I threw in the ocean there, and three or four things, and I buried them in the earth. They're my Neo-Phoenician works that were done, Punic works, small works in stone, etc. And I bury them there. So I'm sorry to fuck up the architects, okay? Because if they dig it up and they find it, and then they do all these DNA tests, and they will say, what the hell, where is it? How could this be here? I would love that. No, it's all love. I love you, archaeologists, so you're coming there and looking for this stuff. And here I was in my paradise. And just enjoying it with nothing. No preconceived notions, just enjoying and feeling in a place where that I had looked at so much in some videos and also in books, and I was so pleased to be there and feel it physically. And another shout out to Francesco Montanari, who filmed this whole project and was a sponsor of this video, okay, to get it to this point. So here I am. I think I was the problem of mosquitoes, but you see me once in a while with the mosquitoes. Okay, where are we going now? We're looking at this wonderful Punic Sardegna with wonderful history of, which goes from Sassari all to Cagliari, to Vicedo, to the south, this wonderful land which has such a great history of Phoenician and Punic history. and the people that where did the Phoenicians travel to? What's the reality? If you just make a trip in the Mediterranean to cities that were founded by Phoenicians, all in the south of Spain, actually going up almost to Galicia, and then the other side going almost up to Catalonia. There's Phoenician ruins and all the coast in there, and all these little tiny islands that are just off the coast, these beautiful places. And they say the Phoenicians would they would create the little towns there so that they could, it would be easy to defend them, because they would have a little hill looking at the ocean, but also some of the most beautiful places that you can find in the coast, in Sardegna, all the way to Malta, all over the Mediterranean. And then you go down to the Maghreb, in Morocco, in Algeria, in Tunis, the Grand Carthago. There's so much, it's a beautiful, lovely places, to travel to. And I traveled a lot to them, and I traveled with Francesco. Hopefully I find some more videos, because it was an important trip to Carthage, where we met in Jebel Mlitza, different places there which are important that influenced works of mine. So in any case, here we are we're now in Tharros, a mythical Punic city. It has its history written about. In any case, I was feeling it. As you can see, I'm sitting down, I'm enjoying this whole experience here. And with no preconceptions, just to enjoy and to be there. I don't care if I pick up something with my hand, I take it back, a little piece of ceramic or something, and it's fine. If not, it's no problem. I'm just here. I'm realizing a dream of mine to pass through all these places. And like I said, by this time I'm already producing Phoenician works, stone works, etc. And I had transformed myself into a Phoenician sculptor. In 1990, I literally became a Phoenician sculptor, and that was to show the love and the intensity I had for this wonderful country of Lebanon, and how they influence in the western and the Riprese of the Mediterranean, and what they offer to the culture of Western culture. Because you people that understand what I'm talking about, that use the alphabet that we use, you have to understand you would be without analphabetical, without this thing. You give a little what should I say? A little apoyo, a little respect of the Phoenician history, and don't think it's a Roman alphabet. The Roman alphabet came from what was the history? The Phoenician alphabet. Then the Greeks took it. They changed the direction, basically. Very few changes. And then the Romans put it in a square. They did a graphic design concept in a square, which also was the formation they used in their war, in their battles. Okay, that's something else we can get into in a bit. But the alphabet comes from the Phoenicians, and why did the Phoenicians make the alphabet? Because they had so much connection with people in the ancient world, and for example, in the Mediterranean, they had to develop a system to communicate, even for a contabile, for dealing with business, etc., and to record their business transactions. Also, even before that, was more primitive. They would arrive on the shore, they would put their goods on the shore, and they would go back to the boat, and people would come down. They would look at the goods they had to trade, they would take them, and then they would leave something of theirs, and then we'd come back. And then they evolved it into a system with the alphabet, okay? And it worked. Apegado. No, it stuck. It stuck because it was so much used in the Mediterranean that many races in the Mediterranean used it, okay? So please, give a little respect and love the country of my ancestors. Love them because the world now, they want to destroy Lebanon with all the wars that they foreigners come in and they want to steal. We're dealing with all our history, all the history of this lovely, wonderful country of Lebanon, okay? Anyway, it is what it is, and it will be what it will be. And I will do what I can just to shine light. And that was my objective in this period of my work. Now I'm on to something else. And maybe there will be future videos, God willing, inshallah, say Dios quiere, if he exists, etc. Hopefully he exists, because now we're really not concerned about error, but that's the battle between the devil and goodness. And what is God? It's goodness. And the devil is what is attacking us, okay? It's not that there exists a person. Okay, let's forget the spiritualist talk. But that's how I see the situation, okay? I show a little love for this wonderful country and what they did, and there are many other things. But in any case, we're here, and we're talking about an artist who has become a Phoenician sculptor. In this point, I've become 100% a Phoenician sculptor. I had from my past before this all these different periods that you may know. If you're a fan of mine, you may know, you may realize what I've done, and you know the chronological development. It's like I say, I don't like the idea of development, the word development and evolution, these ideas, because I move laterally. It's a linear progression concept. I change, I evolve, I don't evolve, I change and become. It's a change which is a linear. If you understand the basic concept of my work, it's all in one line. It's not one goes up, one goes down. We're not looking at a graph, etc. Okay, in the video now, I must admit I'm ad-libbing a little bit because I'm waiting and I'm looking at the video. I'm here with my iPhone taping the sound, and I'm looking at the video, which is happening, and I'm waiting. I'm seeing where we're going because we're getting closer and closer to something which is very exciting. Obviously, I've seen this video a couple times to prepare for my sound track. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm just walking around. I'm chilling, taking photos, etc. You know, hopefully I will find. I have boxes of photos that I still haven't opened up. Find out, maybe I've found some interesting photos from here. But of course, my grand friend Francesco Montanari from Bologna made this video, which is very, very pleasing. Okay, what we're going to come close to now is we should be getting close to an archaeological site. We're going to get close to something which will become the inspiration for a sculpture of mine. Okay, a sculpture from this experience. This is the magic of this trip, the magic of when I travel, if it happens. It's not obligatory to happen. It's just being there is enough for me. But something happened here. And I'm moving around with all these stones, all these piedras, etc., all this pietra. And I'm looking and I'm feeling this history. Look at these walls. It's like, I'm just like looking at these walls. It's like Punic walls. Phoenician people came here from the Lebanon. They came to Carthage, and they mixed with the people. They generations of their were a result of their coming there and mixing with the people, and they stayed there, and they developed, and then they traveled from Carthage to, for example, Sardegna, and they made roots there, and they brought their information and culture there to do things, but also they had to defend. They weren't they weren't an imperialistic country. They didn't conquer. They went and they collaborated with the people. They brought everything that they know to teach them, to help them, and they learned from the people where they went, and they collaborated. This is a great race. They weren't conquerors. They don't do the typical thing that do the Romans and many other cultures. They go and they conquer and they kill and they take over the country. No, they collaborated with. And then so what happened, the Second Punic War was a defensive thing. And then, of course, we have the history of the great Hannibal, who basically his concept was to defend all these wonderful Phoenician sites, Phoenician cities, Phoenician collaboration reality cities, and towns and pueblos. And they made fortresses, and you see we're on the coast, and a lot of these walls are designed to have the viviendas, houses, etc., but also to have a vision of the ocean, so that they can defend when aggressive people came to try to attack them. No, and they were just defending. It was a defensive posture. Okay, and this land, which is this wonderful land, which is Sardegna, which has such a wonderful and rich Punic history and Phoenician history. They're both periods, first Phoenician and then Punic, but it's the same history. It's just different generations. And I love these that looks like steps, which in reality they are, and these a lot of them were religious sanctuaries, etc., because they had their religions and they believed in they had their gods, and a lot of their gods have been taken over by the Greeks, and they get all the credit for them, the Greeks, but they're originally Phoenician gods, Melkart, etc. All these became Greek gods. Zeus, they became Greek gods, etc. Baal became Greek gods, etc. But they all started with the Phoenician. And we must say that we didn't start at nothing. Of course, we have tremendous relationship with our alphabet, with cuneiform and the hieroglyphics. It's a continuation. Some of the alphabet, the words, the letters in the Phoenician alphabet come from Egyptian hieroglyphs and cuneiforms. We were in contact with tremendous amount of different races in the Mundo Antiguo. Yes. Okay. So here we're getting closer and closer to something. I have to keep talking and create discourses until we get to, because, okay, now again, look, ooh, wonderful. Looking. I did get some things in digging, and they said, look, first of all, in my hand, I don't know if it's the same time, you see a piece of, I'm using a piece of ceramic, which was something I found, and I'm using it as a little shovel, to help dig and dig and try to find something. It was just wonderful. There weren't so many guides there. I've been in other sites, archaeological sites, where there's tremendous amount of control. And like I said, I brought some small sculptures of mine, two stone pieces and one tiny bronze, and a bronze coin of mine, and I made, and I threw that in the ocean, and I buried the other pieces, and I don't even remember what I did. What I did was just, I'm sorry to play games with the archaeologists in the future. When they find it and they do the DNA, because now everything is DNA, they can tell the exact time, if this was from this period or that period, and they'll find out that what I put there was from this period, 1980 something, 1990 or whatever. And it's just all love. Right? Look, here I have something, I don't know if it coincides with the image, but I found something interesting in my hand, and I just I would take that, okay. All right, so now when we're getting closer and closer to something which was a very exciting for me, because it was a discovery, and it became the inspiration for an artwork, which is, I must say, the artwork is in evolution, because it's not 100% actualized, but we're getting closer and closer to it, and it's more of an architectural element, which for me becomes a sculptural work, a three-dimensional work, and we're getting closer and closer to it, and closer and closer, looking at this wonderful tierra here, Sardegna Punica di Tharros. And they also have their little museum, which was great, because I got some other catalogs which I didn't have already. And I bought some things in the tiny museum of Tharros. They have the tiny little, bookstore, in a tiny museum, tiny things. Okay, the Tophet. Okay, the Tophet we know is a religious concept, which I do respect. The religious, they're multi-god religions, and of course we have Baal, we have Tanit, the diosa de fertilità, the goddess of fertility, which okay, so now if we're connected to what I'm looking at now, I'm looking at some like almost like tunnels. We're in 2024. We're in March 2024, and the word tunnel comes out. How does that? It affects me. I have to stop. I have to control my emotions because I'm in the tunnels. In my work right now, my aesthetic drawing work and aesthetic painting work, it's dealing with tunnels. But let's just pass that. Let's go back to these tunnels, which the Phoenicians, the Punics, they did to defend their activities against the invaders, which were the Romans. Okay. So what happened was, we're going to look at one of these tunnel passages, which is seems to be a passageway, and of course with the years it's transformed. We're looking at some different, not exactly tunnels in this moment in the video, but we're going to get back to what became the big inspiration of this part of this trip, or the biggest. What would I say? For me, it was like it was a prize. A prize? What a prize? No, it's like look and search, and you will find. And what did I find? No, I found inspiration. I found something I connected with. We're getting closer and closer to it. We're also looking at other little tunnels, we can almost even call them trenches. I like to think of tunnels as somewhat as trenches. Okay, but we're getting closer. Okay, now we're getting down to the reality of this history, the reality of what's going on now, and the reality of what my work is about. And I made a sculpture about this. Okay, all right. You look at this, you'll see this is one side. We're getting close. We're going to look at one side of this, which becomes, for me, a sculpture of mine. We're looking in from one side. Now we go back, and you see that it was blocked. It was this part of this tunnel was blocked. Let me say it was blocked by some element that didn't want us to pass through it. Let me call it Roman, okay? But for me, the Romans are the Americans, the imperialists, the people that want, and all their cronies, and they defend them. Let me call it an American. No, and I had, this is the other side. Now we're looking at the other side. We're looking at the other side. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful structure. And then when I saw it, it was más claro que el agua. It was clearer than water for me. I knew at this point what I had to do. I was inspired, and I was inspired to do the work which I call Liberazione at Tharros, liberation at Tharros. Okay, and this is a structure which you will see in very soon. I made a video because actually I made a small model of the sculpture. I was going to cast it in bronze just to have the idea controlled forever, at least in a model. But what I would like to do is I'd like to make this work in 5-6 meters high in stone. Well, you'll see it's coming up. Here we're still in Tharros, and we're still looking at this work, okay? We're looking at the inspiration of this, what I'm doing. So you understand what I'm going to do is this work, I'm building it, and I made a small model. I did drawings for it, etc., and I made a small model, which you will see now in a video which I just, which I did at that time in 1990, the sculpture, the model, but I just made a video recently. Actually, it was yesterday. What was today? Where were time? The 9th of March? Something like that, 2024. Okay, now you see, I'm standing right inside this structure. So basically what I do is I made a small version of this structure, liberated because I opened up the other side of it, which was blocked. That's why we call it liberation in Tharros. Tharros is the town, the city, whatever you want to call it. Liberation against those who try to close us down. I will always fight against the aggressor. I would defend my country, wherever that is, my spirit. I would defend the spirit. I'm a nomad. I'm moving around. I go where my genes pull me to, okay? In this period, I was a Phoenician sculptor. Now I'm dealing with something else, but it's part of my legacy, part of my work, part of my history. And in any case, what can I say? Now you will have a video made with my telephone, which will explain a little more of the project, which I would like to do one day. One day some sponsor comes and they want to do it. It'll be a beautiful object. This object, which you're going to see very soon, which was inspired here in Tharros, Sardegna. This lovely place. Look at these walls, all these this is like, for me, it's like reading an alphabet. The architectural details are so they connect with me profoundly. Look at the design of the walls, etc. Anyway, this is the end of this video, and it's now what's going to be connected up with the video, like I said, that I made of the work, the sculpture, which the idea that came from, that happened in this trip, the magical element that happened from this trip. Okay, take care. Buongiorno a tutti che vogliono sapere di Liberazione a Tharros e come è andato. Adesso siamo 34 anni dopo, 34 anni dopo, e questo video che si vede adesso è nel mio studio in Malaga, nel sud di Malaga, Benalmádena, pueblo. E questo modello che vediamo adesso è di polyspan, styrofoam, pintato un colore di arenisca, giallo, moreno, eccetera, come la pietra di Tharros che abbiamo visto adesso. E questa scultura, questa che voglio... Sì, non so, ne ricordo, capisci il mio viaggio, ne ricordo, credo che ha fatto uno in bronzo, però non sono sicuro di questa misura, perché è un'idea, voglio che questo essere permanente nel senso che è un'idea è una parte di un progetto largo. Mira, aquí che dice Al-Kin-Ag, scritto in fenicio, che vediamo adesso. Al es Dios, un Dio fenicio, Kin-Ag che è il creatore del mondo. E questo è anche una postura di creare. Si può creare c'è il Dios e il diavolo, no? Questo che crea, the people that believe they're with God, with Dios. Y eso que non crean son el diavolo. Io creo, non tengo más remedio che creare. Hai capito? Che devo creare non un certo concetto del Dio è di creazione, ok? Insomma, siamo qui anni dopo, 34 anni dopo, questa scultura che si vede adesso, mannaggia, che è in polyspan, eccetera. È un viaggio con me, è venuto da New York City, ho fatto in New York City. Dopo il viaggio con Francesco Montanari, mio grande amico Francesco Montanari, e una shout out to Francesco Montanari per portarmi in Sardegna e lasciarmi fare mi dovere, la cosa che mi piace più di tutto. Insomma, sapete che il mio viaggio è largo, è sempre in evoluzione, muovo linearmente, anche si può dire lateralmente, no evoluzionalmente. I don't move in an evolutionary concept. I move laterally. Okay, and here we are. We're in my studio looking at this work. Mannaggia come voglio fare questo, però voglio fare questo sia in bronzo per avere uno per me, in bronzo, non per vendere. E voglio fare uno di 4-5 metri di altura in una pietra arenisca della Sardegna o della Sicilia, no? Che si può andare sotto come immagini che erano prima qui in questo video. Questo che voglio fare, realizzare questi lavori, una scultura grande, per me grande, ci sono scultori che fanno i lavori molto molto più grandi, però voglio fare un dia, inshallah, se Dio vuole, se Dio schiere, if God willing, my friends, my people. Anyway, cosa voglio dire? Ci sentiamo. Ciao. Un abbraccio a tutti. Tutti i sentimenti. E vive l'arte, vive la creazione della gente. È il migliore che c'è. Ciao.